Hey, welcome back everyone. Today we're diving into some of the most rage-inducing missions from Grand Theft Auto Vice City, the ones that made us question our sanity, throw our controllers, and maybe even rage quit a few times. Whether it's piloting clunky RC helicopters or racing against impossible odds, these missions have earned their place in gaming infamy. So buckle up as we break down why missions like Demolition Man, The Driver, and more have frustrated gamers for years. The Paramedic mission in GTA Vice City is one of those side missions that players often dread, despite the very appealing rewards. You play as, you guessed it, a paramedic tasked with driving around the city in an ambulance, picking up injured pedestrians and rushing them to the hospital. The mission is split into multiple levels, with each level increasing the number of patients you need to collect and deliver. While it might sound simple at first, this mission quickly turns into a chaotic and frustrating ordeal. One of the biggest sources of frustration is the ambulance itself. It's a bulky, unwieldy vehicle that handles like a brick on wheels. Vice City's streets are packed with traffic, pedestrians, and narrow alleyways, so trying to maneuver the ambulance without crashing is a challenge in itself. Even a minor bump can send patients flying out the back, forcing you to stop and lose precious time. The turning radius is wide, acceleration is slow, and given the tight time limits you're under, every second wasted trying to make a clean turn can push you closer to failure. Then there's the issue of the patients. They're scattered all over the city, often in hard-to-reach places, so you'll find yourself zigzagging across town in an increasingly tight time window. As you progress to higher levels, you're tasked with picking up more patients in fewer trips, which means the ambulance gets packed with people, and any crash or delay can put you at serious risk of failing. The mission is also unforgiving, because if you fail at any level, you have to start over from level 1 since there are no checkpoints. To make matters worse, the mission requires constant focus. Traffic in Vice City is unpredictable, and pedestrians tend to jump in front of your vehicle, adding yet another layer of difficulty. And let's not forget the occasional police car that will chase you down if you accidentally run over someone, turning an already stressful situation to a nightmare. The time pressure combined with the clunky ambulance controls and the unpredictable traffic means there's little margin for error. Gamers tend to universally dislike the paramedic mission because it feels like a long, stressful grind. There's very little room for mistakes, and the mission's repetitive nature, doing the same thing over and over while slowly increasing in difficulty, can get tedious. The rewards, which include infinite sprint, are great, but the path to getting there is paved with frustration. For many players, it's a mission that requires patience and a lot of retries, making it one of Vice City's most infamously disliked tasks.
Alright, Mus, I'm going to save your Vera, mate.
What the hell are you talking about?
You know that wanker Diaz, the bugle meister? He's got your boy lugs. Word is your mate tried to jump him, didn't jump high enough, if you know what I mean.
The death row mission in Vice City is one of those missions that really cranks up the pressure and tests both your combat skills and your ability to handle chaos under a tight deadline. In this mission, you're tasked with rescuing Lance Vance, who has been captured by Ricardo Diaz's goons and is being held at a junkyard, beaten within an inch of his life. Sounds straightforward, right? Well, it's anything but. The first major difficulty is the time limit. Lance's health bar starts depleting the moment the mission begins, so you already feel the heat as you race to the junkyard. Every second you waste getting there brings him closer to death. So, there's no room for error. The mission throws you right into a high-stakes scenario, where speed is crucial, and one wrong turn or crash on the way can make the difference between success and failure. When you finally get to the junkyard, you're met with a swarm of heavily armed enemies, which is where the real challenge begins. The junkyard is full of obstacles and tight spaces, making it hard to move around freely while dodging gunfire. Enemies are positioned all over the place, some on higher platforms, some behind cover, so you're constantly under fire from all directions. Many players feel overwhelmed at this point because you're essentially walking into a death trap with enemies who seem to be far better prepared than you are. On top of that, once you rescue Lance, you're not in the clear yet. You have to get him out of there alive, all while enemies continue to chase you down. Lance is in terrible shape, moving slowly and on the verge of death, so if you're not careful, he can get killed during the escape. The fact that you have to worry about both your own survival and Lance's fragile state adds an extra layer of stress that can make the mission feel downright brutal.
Get patched up and meet on bridge to Star Island, okay?
Okay, I got you.
The RC Raider pickup mission in GTA Vice City is another one of those moments in the game that leaves players scratching their heads and often pulling their hair out. It's one of the optional missions, but anyone who's aiming for 100% completion will inevitably come across it. In this mission, you're tasked with flying an RC helicopter through a series of checkpoints scattered around the city. On the surface, it seems pretty straightforward. You need to fly through all the checkpoints within a time limit. But the core problem here is how frustratingly awkward the RC helicopter is to control. The handling is incredibly sensitive and clunky, which makes navigating through tight spaces and over buildings a nightmare. You'll often find yourself overcorrecting, crashing into objects, or just struggling to stay on course, which drains precious time. Adding to the frustration is the fact that the checkpoints are spread out across different elevations, requiring you to make precise altitude adjustments, something that isn't easy with the finicky controls. A minor miscalculation can send you careening into a building, or leave you wasting time hovering just beneath a checkpoint. The overall feeling is that the mission demands precision and patience, but the controls are far from being up to the task.
Things are starting to come together nicely here.
What's the plan, Tommy? Que pasa, amigo?
The plan is you keep doing that like a moron. Anyhow, we need a driver.
The driver mission in Vice City is another one of those frustrating missions that players love to hate. In this mission, you're competing in a race against Hillary King, a getaway driver who's supposed to be working with you. The catch? Hillary is driving a fast Sentinel while you're stuck behind the wheel of an old, slower Sabre Turbo. Right off the bat, you're at a disadvantage. The main gripe players have is the ridiculous difficulty curve. Hillary's car is not only faster, it also seems to handle like a dream, compared to your Sabre, which feels sluggish and hard to control. To make matters worse, Hillary drives like an AI on steroids, taking perfect turns, weaving through traffic with ease, and rarely making mistakes. You, on the other hand, are at the mercy of Vice City's chaotic streets, filled with random traffic, sudden turns, and of course, cops that seem to appear out of nowhere. Speaking of cops, this is where a lot of the frustration peaks. As if racing a faster car wasn't hard enough, you're also being chased by the police during the race. Getting bumped or slowed down by the cops can easily ruin your chances, and they seem to have a knack for ramming you at the worst possible moments. Even small mistakes can cost you the entire race, and it's not uncommon to lose over and over before finally managing to edge out a win. Racing in an obviously inferior car, dodging relentless cops, and dealing with a near-perfect AI opponent all combine to make this mission feel more about luck than skill. It's one of those moments where the challenge seems less like a test of ability and more like the game is actively trying to mess with you. For many gamers, the driver stands out as one of Vice City's most rage-inducing missions. A race that's burned into their memories for all the wrong reasons.
Write a name for yourself. Why is that?
Because I love animals. I'm animal.
Okay, I'll drive for you, but please treat him bad.
Now look here, son. I got a problem and I reckon you could help me with it.
The Demolition Man mission in Vice City is one of those gaming moments that has earned a bit of a notorious reputation, and for good reason. In this mission, you're tasked with using a remote-controlled helicopter, again, to plant bombs at a construction site. Sounds easy enough, right? Well, not exactly. Just like with RC Raider Pickup, the main source of frustration comes from how awkward the helicopter controls are. Flying the little RC chopper is like trying to drive a shopping cart with one broken wheel. It's clunky and super sensitive, making it hard to maneuver in tight spaces. You have to navigate through narrow hallways, avoid enemy workers who will try to destroy the helicopter, and somehow keep a sense of direction while balancing the helicopter's fuel, which drains at an alarming rate. If you're not precise with your flying, you'll either crash the chopper or run out of time before all the bombs are planted. On top of the finicky controls, you're on a strict time limit, which adds even more stress. You've got 4 bombs to plant, and with each wrong move, your chances of success plummet. Retrying the mission after failing can feel like a slog. What really drives people up the wall is that Vice City isn't exactly known for missions that require delicate precision. Most of the game is about fast cars, shootouts, and mayhem, so suddenly being forced to master a finicky little helicopter feels completely out of place. That mismatch, combined with the steep learning curve, is why Demolition Man stands out as one of the most disliked missions in the game. It has become infamous in the GTA community for its difficulty and awkwardness, with many players remembering it as the mission that tested their patience the most. And there you have it, folks. Some of the most frustrating, hair-pulling missions from Vice City that have left a permanent mark on the gaming community. Whether it was the awkward controls, unfair difficulty, or just the sheer pressure these missions put on us, they become iconic for all the wrong reasons. But at the end of the day, it's these challenging moments that make us appreciate the game even more. Let me know in the comments which mission gave you the hardest time, or if you have any unforgettable rage-quitting stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on more gaming breakdowns. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.